Hey everyone, it's Rob from HiPop and welcome back to another video. In this one, we have an exciting one because we're in our brand new YouTube studio, as you can see here. So leave your comments down below about your thoughts on our new studio space. We're actually hitting 20K subscribers really soon, so what we'll do is go through a little look around the studio, see what sort of gear we're using. So hit subscribe for more and keep an eye out for that video. But for this one, we're unboxing and reviewing the brand new Godox CL10 RGB LED light. It's actually advertised as a multicolor LED interior light. So let's take a closer look at that one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos just like this. Hit that notification bell to be updated of any new content we release. Leave a like on the video if it's helped you. Feel free to leave down in the comments section below your thoughts or if you have any questions about the Godox CL10 LED light. Follow us on social media at HiPop and visit our website, hipop.com.au. Let's get into it. Let's have a closer look at what's included with the CL10. Firstly, this is the carton that it comes in. You can see there's a couple of features that I just listed out on the front here. Firstly is free color adjustment, so that's just referring to the RGB mode. There's also Godox app control. So Godox have released a brand new app on iOS and on Android to control their newer LED lights. You also have Blink with music, so there's an inbuilt microphone with this particular light that lets it sort of adjust to the music, and 39 special effects, which is a huge amount because a lot of these lights usually only have about 10, 12, so there's a lot included with this light here. Now the CL10 is more like an ambient light or a fill light. It's more of a smaller light that's perfect for content creators, YouTubers, just like what we're doing right now. So you can see we have some RGB lights behind us here also, so it's perfect to use for that. What's included inside? Firstly, you have your warranty card and you've got the CL10 instruction guide. You've got some little like a pamphlet and little bits and pieces of documentation. Now inside here straight away we see the light, and the light comes with a stand. The stand there is detachable, so it's if you want to tabletop stand it or if you just want to have it sort of on the ground somewhere, you can remove this stand too. And it's a standard 5/8 spigot. And that means you can actually mount this directly to a standard light stand. And it has that standard sort of top mount fitting as well as side fitting there too. So you can mount it on the stand sort of horizontally or vertically also. And on the inside here we have a few white boxes that have the USB charger and AC brick. And you've also got USB type A to type C cable and the remote control. So this is a new remote control from Godox. You can see there's quite a few options here, all to do with their RGB functionality and a few presets too. So we'll take a closer look at that one also. Going through the specs of the Godox CL10, firstly, it's 19.2 centimeters in diameter. It's 6.5 centimeters in depth or thickness. It needs to be powered via USB type C. So you need to power it with that cable and that little power brick that's included. So unfortunately, there's no battery that's built inside, which is a shame. It's a missed opportunity, but perhaps Godox will release a new model that does have an inbuilt battery, because you can see here we have to tether it to that cable there, and you can't go wired free. When there is a wired free version, I imagine it'd be super popular, but also more expensive. And you can see here there's a tilt bracket for the light. It can be mounted to a stand. There's also some nice design elements here at the back. There's heating vents that allow it to cool. You can see it's the COB chip of the LEDs in the center there, so it's operated by that center light there. There's also an IR sensor on the back here, and that's for the remote control. And we'll show a few issues with that when we're using it and going through the functions. The light itself has built-in RGB and HSI modes, so that means you can go through from 0 to 360 degrees on the RGB mode. You also have 0 to 360 degrees on HSI and hue and saturation, and you have 0 to 100% in controlling the intensity too. So in actual fact, you have availability of 36,000 colors at your disposal here. So that's super great, and also all those built-in functions. The FX modes, there's 39 of them that we'll go through. And there's a few presets that you can see here on the remote control too. Now the light itself doesn't have that traditional scale for your color temperature, the CCT, from like say 2500 Kelvin to 5600 Kelvin. You actually have to use it through this slider button here, which we'll go through. But all in all, it's a really compact and portable light. We're actually thinking of adopting some of these just to use as our RGB lights here. If we can keep them out of frame without the cable in sight, they're perfect for that. Godox haven't released a CRI or TLCI rating for this particular light. Also, this light here produces about 10 watts of output, LED output, and it also has about a reading of 1100 lux at 1 meter with the green color. So that's the sort of power intensity that you'll get from this light. So it's not a super strong light. You can see it's actually quite small and compact, but it does produce pretty efficient and also, you know, like really wide light at 120-degree beam angle too. So it's a great light overall, but don't think of it as like a key light or anything like that. Definitely just more of an ambient or a fill light. So what we'll do is go through the remote control. To operate this, you just need to make sure it's plugged in, and you'll see straight away there's like a little LED that turns on there when you press the on button. So there's a little on switch there. Now the thing with the remote control is you can see there are a few options on the remote control. So let's say the red color and I want to switch it over to red. You can see it's not actually switching over if you're pointing at it from the front of the light here. When you go over to the back is when it actually picks it up, because the IR sensor is located at the back. So that's a little frustrating. In some way, it's you know, it's actually needs line of sight with the remote control for it to operate. If you have this set up, you know, wherever it is, whether you've got it mounted somewhere on the, you know, somewhere else and you want to wirelessly control it, you kind of need to make sure that you have line of sight to that sensor. It's a little bit annoying, and that's probably a missed opportunity there by Godox. But you know, apart from that, it's really responsive when it is pointing to the IR sensor here. So you can see I'm jumping through. I've got red, I've got green, and I've got blue, and I can jump into any of these color presets here that they have listed on the remote control. So they have like a pink, and jump into purples, etc. Nice and easy. Now the buttons up the top here, you can see there's on and off, which just simply turns the light on and off. You can see it kind of turns off and shifts off. Yep, that turned off there. Didn't look like it from the side there, but it did. And it sort of turns off and you can turn on. And at the top here, you've just got the illumination control, and you can see it's dimming as I press it. Now, another issue with the remote control is that you can't just hold down on a button to speed cycle or speed increase and decrease the intensity, which is a shame. So you have to sit there and actually, you know, keep on pressing to lower the intensity. Hopefully that's something they can update in a firmware update or something like that. The other buttons here, they're all those color presets. You got the RGBW, so if you want to quickly change this over to a white color, you can do that by pressing the W. And you've also got some arrows here on the side. The left side arrows are for the RGB mode, so that's cycling through all the different, you know, colors that you have access to with this particular light. Let's see if this is changing here. Let's chuck it into RGB mode. So you can see it's actually cycling through all the different colors now. So it's going from green to blue, etc. And then the other side here with the arrows, that changes the color temperature options too. So you need to jump this into W, and you can see you can change the color temp of the light, and that's where you'd be able to notice a color temp shift. So you can see it's going to blue. So it's supposed to be like a really cool. And then you can switch it over to less saturation on this one here. So you can see it's gone more to a white light there. So that's where you're not able to really use the standard color temperature reading. So if you're relying on this to say match a 3200 Kelvin light or a tungsten light, there's no, you know, indication as to the exact color temperature that this light is producing right now. The only way that you'd really be able to replicate this is if you just jump it into, say, orange light, and then change the hue and saturation of the light based on that. So I can change that hue so you can see it's going down to more of a white light now, and then it's just back into a more saturated orange light. But there's still no indication on the exact color temperature, which is a shame. I mean, you could get a light meter reading on it, but that's a little bit more complicated for what you're wanting to use this light for. And on the bottom here, you can see there's just a few presets on the effects that you have, and they're pretty neat effects. Some of them are practical, and some of them are pretty much novelty. Like, you know, for example, you've got like an ambulance mode, so you can see that sort of like flashing white and blue. You've got like fire, and that's sort of just like a pulsating orange. You have like firework mode. But the cool thing about an RGB light with effects is that it utilizes all those colors with the light. So fireworks, for example, you're not just using like a white light, like with some of the apertures, for example, larger lights like the C300D Mark II, it's only a white light. And if you're using fireworks mode on that, you're only getting white fireworks. With the RGB here, you can see it's flickering a few different other colors, which is great. And you've even got like, say, paparazzi flash, which you can see there. So these are great, especially if you're just doing, you know, some small skits or something, and you need a light with these types of effects, but there's one neat effect, which is music. So you can chuck this on music mode and it actually moves to the audio that it's picking up because there's an inbuilt microphone at the back here. So it's actually flickering now because it's picking me up talking. And if I actually just chuck on some music right now, and it's actually picking up the sound, which is cool. So we've seen these types of effects on lights before. You can kind of use it as a party light almost. So if you have a party and you have one of these lights, you can just chuck it in the corner next to your speaker and it's, you know, sort of flickering to the beat, which is super cool. And you know, you have 39 different options, but the easiest way to actually control this light is through the Godox app, which is what we'll go through next. So Godox have released a new app that's available for iOS and for Android. It's called Godox Lite. So you can actually download that. You can scan the QR code in the manual that's included, or you can just search that up in your app store. And we've already got it downloaded here on our phone. And jumping into the Godox Lite app, it's probably the most convenient way to operate this light, because if you're operating groups of lights or even just an individual light, you can bypass that little, you know, tidbit where you can only control the light with the remote control from the back. The remote control has an IR sensor and that's 15 meters range. So if you have Bluetooth, you've got that wider range, which is typically about 50 meters or so, that you can control the light. And it's a lot easier to control groups of lights anyway through an app like this. Now the light itself, looks really similar to the Sidus Link app by Aputure. So if you're familiar with that, you'd be able to use this app fairly easily. Firstly, you can jump into the app itself and you can see in settings at the top, you don't need to create an account or anything. It says I'm not signed in, which is good because the Sidus Link app, you need to sort of, you know, sign up and verify your account and all this stuff. The good thing about this is that it's all locally through your device here and it's not sort of, you know, saved in the cloud somewhere in an account if you don't want it to be, or you can choose to log in and sign in there too. Now just jump in and press that big plus button and you can create a studio. So the studio is sort of like a profile of your lighting setup. You can consider it that way. We just name that as Hypop and click save. And you can jump into the studio now and you can see it shows groups and lights. You can even import settings, export settings, and you can even share settings. So you can share it to someone else that has a Godox Lite app, or perhaps you have multiple devices, maybe your camera operator is using a tablet, you can share that studio over to that tablet there. And at the bottom here, you've got add, and you can add the lights. At the top right here is add and connectable device. If you hit refresh at the top there, it's not really picking up anything. And you need to make sure that the light itself is on. So if the LED light where the Bluetooth little symbol is red, you just need to turn on the light and make sure that it's blue. Now it still won't pick up, which you can see there. What you need to do is hold down on the power button until it sort of flashes into pairing mode for Bluetooth. There you go. It's in pairing mode now. And if you hit refresh, so you can see that the CL10 is found and you can click confirm. Now it takes a few seconds to register. And there you go, it says equipment combination finished. Now you can go back and you can see the CL10 is now listed as one of the lights in your studio, and you can jump into the different settings for the light. So the first thing that we'll probably jump into is the scene control, which is cool. So you can jump in scene control and you can go into mode, and you can see there's 5 different modes here. You've got the RGBW, you've got the HSI, you've got gel filter, FX, and also color picker. Now RGB is pretty cool because you got that whole RGBW color field, and you got sliders that you can utilize too. You can just jump in and we'll increase the intensity so you can see that a bit clearer. You can just jump in and slide your finger across and it changes with the actual light itself. So let's get that pointing on me so you can see that a bit better. So you can see you jump into red, blue, and it's pretty responsive too. You can see there it changes quite quickly, and then you can change the intensity too. And if you press down at the bottom there, that little top arrow, it actually shows you your exact settings. So if you're wanting to remember those settings, you like that particular light that it was producing, you'll know that this light, for example, is 64 intensity, and you got the RGBW ratings too. So you can replicate this light. Even if you're gonna be using other RGB lights, you can try to mimic that same light with that too. Now you got the sliders that you can operate also. So if you have some RGBW values, you can input them and slide them across to your exact values. Jumping back into modes, you got HSI mode now. HSI has the little color picker wheel or little palette there that you can jump across, and it shows you your hue, saturation, and also the intensity that you can control at the bottom here. And once again, you can press down on that top arrow and it shows you your exact HSI readings. So you can replicate these settings too. Jumping back into mode once again. Now you got gel filter. Gel filter is really cool because it has filters that mimic your Lee and Roscoe filters also, or you can have set a custom one too. So if you have Lee or Roscoe filters that you're using, you have the values there and you can pretty much use these as presets to jump into those filters. And the next one's effects. And the effects here, you can see there are a few different effects that they have on display, namely RGB cycle, flash, laser, lightning, broken bulb, TV, candle, fire, fireworks, police car, fire truck, ambulance, that music mode which we showed earlier, and then SOS also. Now you have different types of speeds and intensities that you can set these effects at. So if you wanted the effect to be less intense in terms of brightness, or changing the speed on the way it flickers and things like that, you can jump into all those different lighting effects. And I think Godox is counting each of those speeds as one lighting effect. So that's why you can't see all 39 here. But if you have 1, 2, and 3 speed candle, for example, they're probably counting that as 3 lighting effects in one. But there are ways that you can sort of fine tune these effects with this color picker, which is really hard to do when you're using just the remote control here. So you can see the app is a lot more convenient. And lastly is the color picker, which is kind of cool. So color picker is you can actually take a photo of something or go into your album in your phone. So if you have a saved photo, for example, and you're wanting to color match that photo in particular, you can do that. So you can see here, they've already got a preset, sort of like a forest type photo. And we're just going through and sliding across to any particular part of this photo. So if you like the greens and the grass there, or you want to go up to the browns of the tree, I'm not sure what it's going to do for brown color. But yeah, it's sort of not really replicating the brown there, but you can see the greens, it's copying quite easily. And then you can change the intensity. And also, once again, top, you can press the RGB, it shows you the RGB W values as well as the intensity. So you can see the app's really nice and easy to use, and how convenient it would be to utilize when using groups of lights. Just wanted to give a quick example on how to practically use a light similar to this here. So this one is an RGB light, and what we use RGB lights a lot for is for background light or for ambient light. So you can see now we've actually turned off all of our background lights. So we've only got the front facing key light here in front of me. Also just one to the side of me here to give it a little bit of a rim. Let's turn on some of these background lights really quickly. I've got 2 lights up the top here that are RGB lights, and they will sort of splash some color on the background. One's gonna be blue, and the other one's gonna be sort of like a pink purple color. So we'll turn those on. So you can see the blue's just turned on, and then now the pink. There we go. So you can see it's added some sort of depth to the shot, and it's also added a bit of interest. We've also got a little ambient little light here that's at 2500 Kelvin. Sort of adds that color there. It gives a little bit of light to the shelf area. So we've got the CL10 positioned behind me here towards the bottom, and it's gonna throw some light up behind me because you can see there's a bit of shadow here too. So RGB light's just great to add a little bit more depth and interest in the shot. And we've got it on, I've just turned that on. So you can see there's a little bit of a subtle blue glow behind me now, and it's added a bit more light down below. You can change this to whatever color you really want, or if you want it to be sort of like an orange or a color temperature type color, or warmer or a cooler, you can do that too. And the light's facing away from me, so it means I can actually use the remote control, and it's nice and easy to control. So I'll turn that off again and turn that back on. And there you go, you can see the differences to the shot. So it's really a great addition to any sort of YouTube lighting setup. So overall, the Godox CL10 is a great addition to its video lighting range. You can see it's a small, practical, and can potentially be a portable light. So you can plug this in with a USB Type-C cable to a power bank if needed, if you wanted it to be portable. However, there is no inbuilt battery. So overall, it is a great compact light. It's something that you can add to your lighting setup. It's really used and main intention is for video. You can use it for photography. And it's actually an inexpensive light at 89 Australian dollars. So we'll throw the pricing up on screen as well as the conversion into US dollars. And yeah, just overall a really handy light. Even comes with the remote control and the plugs and everything too. So that was just a quick unboxing and review of the Godox CL10. For more videos just like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be updated of any new content we release. Leave a like on the video if it's helped you. Leave down in the comment section below your thoughts, or if you have any questions about the Godox CL10. Follow us on social media at Hypop, and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Thanks for watching.